Hey, heathens, you're listening to the Deadly Faith Podcast, where religion and crime collide. I'm Laci,
And I'm Lola.
and this shit is a swindle.
The mind that was in Jesus, that mind is in me.
Without me, life has no meaning.
Why would God tell you what I'm thinking and tell you what I've said to my wife or my husband when you're not around? It's because I'm the pastor of the church and I need to know.
This is the only place where you can see truth.
Dun, dun, dun.
A
A swindle,
don't know what that
a
means. But
scam,
okay.
a fraud,
Oh, well, you know
a pyramid scheme.
what? Okay. We're getting oily.
We're getting oily
Yeah,
today, and
okay.
I'm gonna really oil you up.
Oh, guys, stick around if you want to hear Laci oil me. That's disgusting.
All right, guys. So we're going to get into some trigger warnings. As you could see in the title, we're talking about D. Gary Young. He is the founder of the infamous Young Living Essential Oils Company. So our trigger warnings today are fraud, scams, manipulation, infanticide, medical malpractice, light mentions of suicide, and physical assault.
Mm.
So we got a list here.
You know, you say infamous, but like, I know that notoriously anyone that uses oils in my circles does not buy from Young Living.
Yeah.
Otherwise, I
so
don't know much about it. Just I've heard that their
Young
oils are not that
Living.
great.
Young Living is either
Love it or hate it.
know them and they're famous to you because you love them, or they're infamous because you know this backstory.
Okay.
So it just kind of depends on the circle or how much research you've
Okay.
done
Well,
or
you gotta
exposed
tell me.
yourself to.
Why is it
We're gonna
D?
die.
D. Gary
Oh,
Young.
we'll get into that.
Okay.
Just wait. We will get into that. There is a very valid reason why he does that. Okay. So again, we are diving into the story of Gary Young, the founder of Young Living Essential Oils. He's known as the father of essential oils. Gary did help elevate the use of essential oils from a long established practice worldwide to now the global phenomenon that it is. So he didn't invent essential oils or the use of essential oils, but he is the one that helped bring them to America and create, like, not bring them to America, but make them into the global phenomenon that they are.
There was a surge
today.
for them at a certain point in time, and he was
Yeah.
really the backbone to that. That's what I'm hearing.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, he really was. Although essential oils have been used for centuries, his contributions, like we said, were key in making them as popular as they are today. But not without committing some crimes along the way. But before we dive into Gary's story, let's take a moment to talk about Young Living as a business for those who might not be familiar with them. So Young Living operates as a multi-level marketing MLM company, and I'm sure many of you have had the all too common experience of receiving the dreaded, "Hey girl,"
No.
DM.
Why is it always, hey, girl? Always.
every fucking time. Have I sent some of those? Yes, I have. Okay, sorry.
Oof. call
Anyways,
her
an
out.
MLM is a business model where individuals earn money not only through sales of products, but also by recruiting others to join the business. Now, these recruits, or quote, downline, can also sell products and recruit more people, creating a hierarchy of earners. Now, the more people you create, or you recruit, and the more sales you generate, the higher your potential earnings. However, the focus is often more on recruitment than it is on actually like product sales. So this can lead to some participants earning very little to no profit at all. Now, because of this business model, usually these companies have to charge a ridiculous amount for their products because one bottle of oil that's being sold, 17 people are making a commission off of it.
That's
So-
true. Yeah.
So you have to really jack up these prices. I, unfortunately, was a part of Young Living back in the day. In the very beginning of our marriage, my husband and I got sucked in. And the way that Young Living works is you have to not only like pay for your membership, but if you want to earn a paycheck and get paid as a distributor, you have to have your own personal volume. They call it PV of sales. So you yourself have to be spending money with the company in order to get a paycheck. If you don't make your order, then you won't get paid. So you have to be spending money in order to make money.
That's so fucking stupid.
Yeah. So to remain eligible for commissions and rank advancements, distributors need to maintain at least 100 PV in personal sales each month.
Wow.
Okay. This ensures that they are actively engaged in selling and purchasing products, which helps maintain their status in compensation structure that or really it. Now, usually with Young Living, the dollar amount will equal the PV amount. So if an oil is $29, it will also be 29 PV. Now, just so you know, the main starter kit, that's like, there's a bunch of different starter kits that you can choose from, but the main one that is touted the most is $165 and is only worth 100 PV. It comes with a diffuser, 12 5-milliliter bottles of different essential oils, a 1-ounce bottle of their Thieves hand sanitizer. I'll explain Thieves in a little while. It comes with 1-ounce bottle of their Thieves cleaner, 2-ounce samples of their health drink called Ningxia Red.
Stop.
I don't really go into this later on, so I'll just explain it now. Their Ningxia Red is created from the wolfberry, the Ningxia wolfberry, and they found it in the Ningxia province of China, apparently. And Gary said that this wolfberry was what all the people there ate, and it is how they lived into their hundreds. And so he took the wolfberry and created this health drink.
First of all, I don't want to live into my hundreds. I don't want to live past 90, if I'm being honest with you.
Our bodies naturally degrade.
It's okay to age.
That is why we have Alzheimer's and all of these like degenerative diseases popping up in old age, because our bodies were never meant to live this long. Science has come a long way in helping us advance with our life expectancy, but we pay in the end on the other side.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's their Ningxia Red, and it's fucking expensive. For like 2 bottles, it's like $120.
Did you try it?
Yes, I used to buy it all the time.
Is it good?
No.
Okay.
I had to put lime essential oil in it, and then it kind of somewhat tasted like a healthy cherry limeade. It's kind of like, my kids liked it though. Ella,
I'd rather go to Sonic,
Ella,
to be
Lily,
honest.
Same. Way cheaper, dude. Way cheaper. Ella or Lily would drink it when we were little, and she would, instead of saying Ningxia, she wouldn't get the Inksha right, and she'd say Ninga.
Oh.
Or she'd go Nina.
No.
She'd say the N word. She'd say the N word while trying to say Ningxia.
Oh, God.
I was like, no, don't say that. Don't say that.
God bless her heart.
So that's the starter kit that most people end up getting when they jump into doing essential oils. Okay. So today, Young Living has grown to 6 million members, 23 corporate and partner farms worldwide, more than 3,000 employees, and over $1.5 billion in annual sales. It has teamed up with celebrity endorsers like Ellen Pompey from Grey's Anatomy. She helped launch their new baby line called Seedlings in 2018. Jenna Dewan, I think is how you say it. She's from Step Up, also The Rookie, and she's the ex-wife of Channing Tatum.
Oh.
Also, Kristen Cavallari from Laguna Beach, the real Orange County. I couldn't find whether these celebrities were paid for their celebrity endorsement just as like a job, or if they were like actual fans of Young Living and that's why they took the job. You know, I couldn't really tell which one, but they did hire them some celebrities to promote their products. Young Living has gained such widespread popularity that its annual conventions are filled with dedicated fans, or perhaps more accurately, followers. And you'll find phrases like peace, love, and oils. Or you'll even see t-shirts that say keep calm and Gary on.
No. Is he a white man?
Oh, he's a white man.
I'm so sick of white men. That's all.
Mm-hmm. Also, he was Mormon.
I can't get away from it.
You can't. I know. We'll talk about it. So some have even witnessed Gary himself anointing babies with frankincense oil backstage.
That's not okay. Don't do that.
I know.
Don't put oils
Don't
on.
touch my baby.
Don't do that.
No. Now, it's no secret that Lola and I aren't fans of MLMs, and for good reason. At the core, we believe they are predatory and unrealistic for the majority of people who sign up, and usually many end up losing money. Now, according to a 2011 study examining the compensation structure of 30 different MLMs, 99% of participants actually lost money. I'm going to say that one more time for those in the back. 99%
I was one of them.
of participants actually lost money. That was me every time.
I lost about
I made
$200.
more money. I made more money in my first year of business doing trauma recovery coaching, which I was not working full time. I was working very, very part time. And I only worked for like 6 months out of that year. I made more in that year than I did in 10 years with Young Living.
Oh my, 10?
Oh, yeah.
Laci.
It had to have been 10 years because I got married in 2011 and I joined right after we got married. So maybe early 2012 is when I joined. And then in 2020, no, it was 2021, I like disbanded my entire membership. Like I had to fill out paperwork for them to cancel my entire
in
membership.
it so long. You were in a second cult.
Yeah, nine years. Oh yeah, it was definitely cool.
Okay.
Yeah. I didn't order every month for that 10 years. There were many times I just couldn't afford it.
Yeah.
So, but I'd always go back and try to make a living. I always hated it every time. Okay, so there are several reasons why people often lose money in MLM companies. First, the business model focuses more on recruitment, like we said earlier, than on actual product sales, meaning many participants end up spending more on products to maintain their rank or even commissions than they make from selling. Second, the market quickly becomes saturated, making it harder for new recruits to find customers or build a downline. Many MLMs also require participants to meet sales quotas or maintain a certain level of personal volume, PV, to qualify for commissions, which can also result in ongoing expenses. Ultimately, those at the top benefit the most, while many others at the bottom earn little to no. So, now that we've established Young Living and who they are today, and MLMs in general, who the fuck is Gary Young? Let's talk about it. Now, when I tell you
Gary
get some
Young.
fucking
Who is
whiplash,
D. Gary Young?
Donald Gary Young
Why?
is his name. And he was born July 11th, 1949 in Salmon, Idaho, into a farming family. His father raised grain, hay, and livestock, and Gary frequently helped in order to put food on the table for him and his 5 siblings. 6 kids. Now, unfortunately, they did struggle, and the cabin he grew up in was proof of that. It was only 30 by 30 feet, had no electricity, and no running water. I cannot imagine what it was like living in 900 square feet with 8 people. 6 kids and 2 parents. I have 3 kids and 2 parents in 1,200 square feet, and it ain't enough.
Yeah.
And I have my basement. That's not even in that 1,200 square feet. So, like,
Yeah.
that just sounds horrific.
Yeah.
Sounds like a nightmare. Gary ended up graduating high school in 1967 and then briefly worked for the U.S. Forest Service. Around 1968, he moved to Canada and homesteaded 320 acres of land for logging and ranching. Now, side note, I did find his mom's obituary, and it says that his parents moved to Canada and bought land. So I'm going to go out on a limb here, and I'm going to assume that this land that he says he was working on was actually his parents
Yeah.
and not his. Because I'm like, dude, how did you afford 320 acres? You didn't. But, of course, he's claiming or not, you know,
I know what you're
not
saying.
leaving that detail
Yeah.
out, you know, to make himself and his legendary story just sound better. Okay. So that April of 1968, Gary met a woman named Donna Jean. And just 6 short months later, they were married. Gary spent a few years logging until he experienced a near fatal accident in February of 1973. Gary was only 24 when a tree fell on him and allegedly shattered his skull, ruptured his spinal cord, and broke 19 bones.
That didn't happen.
Hold on to your diaper because we are literally going crazy
That didn't
from here on out.
happen.
After the accident, Gary fell into a coma for an unlisted amount of time. When he came to, doctors told him he would never walk again. This was devastating to Gary for so many reasons, so he tried to end his life 3 different times but was unsuccessful. According to his story, he then went on a fast where he only drank lemon water as a way to try and pray for his healing. Then miraculously, on day 243, Gary regained some feeling in his toes, And in total, Gary spent around 27 months in a wheelchair before he regained the ability to walk again. Now, allegedly, during his wheelchair days, he got interested in natural healings, and that's when he started learning more and more about essential oils. Now, when I was part of Young Living, I remember hearing that Gary would soak in his hot tub full of all sorts of different essential oils. And the heat from the hot tub and all the oils in the water would make the oils go through his skin, and his body would soak them up. And that healed him and made him be able to walk again. That's the story I was told time and time again. Lola's look on her face right now.
I'm just, when you read a book and it's like, I blinked at them. I blinked.
Mm-hmm.
That's what I'm doing. I'm just blinking at the story.
Allegedly, though, because based off court documents, he was only in a wheelchair for 4 months. Based off court documents.
So that's more like it.
But as we will find out through this story, Gary is the most exaggerating exaggerator there is.
Or he leaves stuff
he's
out
delusional.
to fluff up his facts.
He will do anything to fluff up it. Mm-hmm. That's him. Okay. Now, in December of that same year of his accident, Gary completed a home study course in nutrition and herbology. After he was healed, I'm air quoting that, he went back to working part-time as a trucker in British Columbia. It said that he had some odd jobs during this time. It could be anything from hauling cargo to working on the pipeline in Anchorage, Alaska, or Fairbanks, Alaska. During this time, Gary was gaining more and more interest in natural medicine. In 1979, following another accident, not sure which one or what happened, couldn't find any information on that one, he enrolled in the Burroughs VitaFlex Institute. This was an unaccredited school dedicated to the teachings of Stanley Burroughs, who was convicted of second-degree murder and had a felony charge of practicing medicine without a license.
I'm sorry. I'm not sorry. So VitaFlex sounds like Bowflex, and I can't move past that.
It does.
But then...
Yeah. Unaccredited institute that teaches his teachings, and he has been convicted of second-degree murder and convicted of practicing medicine without a license.
That's clear cut. Don't go down that road.
Don't do that.
Simply.
Don't do that now, kiddos.
So is he the Gary Young before Gary Young? Is that what I'm hearing?
Pretty much, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. We're going to find that in this story, there are a lot of doctors who are just shady as fuck. Okay.
Great. Love to know that.
Now, seriously. Apparently, in 1981, this Stanley Burroughs guy, he had a cancer patient die after receiving treatment. Unfortunately, the homicide conviction was overturned on an appeal, making Stanley a free man ready to grift on.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah, so it was overturned. So I guess they really couldn't definitively prove that it was his treatment that killed her. But
I'm sure it was a contributing factor.
I would agree, but also this is the 80s. Okay. So Gary also attended Donbotch Nutrition, which is another unaccredited school. Botch.
Like a botched surgery. Great.
It says Donbotch, Donbauch.
Oh. Well, in my mind, I'm thinking of botched surgery, which,
exactly.
Again,
not great.
Great. Love that. So
now, according to desert.com, it said, quote, it's talking about Gary, he also studied under French and British experts, conducting research at various institutions, including the University of London.
The University of London? What is that?
Sorry, what degree did he have? What qualified him to do this research with French and British experts? It's one of those claims that they just make, but there's no evidence to prove he actually helped with any of that.
Yeah.
Or did any of that. I'm I call bullshit. He's been at all unaccredited places. Yeah.
Great.
Now, in the early 1980s, Gary and Donna Jean moved to the USA and settled in Spokane, Washington. So they're coming back from Canada. While there, they opened up a herb shop and nutrition center. Gary was still trying to learn more about health and wellness and even medicine, so he enrolled in the Spokane Community College taking pre-med courses. I couldn't find out how long he was there, but based off of his track record, I'm going to say that this was pretty short-lived because he also, after this, enrolled in the American Institute of Physioregenerology.
This is word salad to me at this point.
Yeah, but this is a legit place, American Institute of Physioregenerology.
Well,
that's a
good.
legit sign. This is an accredited school. So it's like, okay, are you going somewhere with this?
Okay.
You finally learned your ways. You got to go somewhere, right?
All right.
Nah, nope. Because Mike Mayer, who's the founder of the Institute, said that Gary left, quote, after attending only a few classes, doing a third of the homework and owing Mayer $1,800 in tuition.
Dear God.
So he went to a real school.
But it was too hard.
And understood what real work was like. And he went, oh, shit, I can't do this. And he gave up. So as Gary was falling down the rabbit hole of natural and alternative medicine, he developed some odd beliefs. Now, trigger warning, this one gets a little gloomy for a second.
Okay.
For example, one of his beliefs was that babies that were born underwater in a hot tub were naturally immunized against various illnesses.
What?
Yeah. With this belief in mind, he personally delivered 4 out of his 6 kids this way without the help of any medical or trained staff. No midwife, no doula, no doctor, no nurse, no nothing.
Oh my God.
He said, I got this, bitch.
That is so dangerous.
Yeah, but because it came back and it wasn't perfect this time because tragically in September of 1982, their 7th child, a baby girl named Rachel, died during her birth when Gary delivered her in a whirlpool at a health club he operated in Washington. The baby was kept underwater for an hour, believing that the placenta would provide her with the oxygen she needed. He was wrong.
I'm so angry. I'm so angry. I'm crying. I'm angry, crying. I hate him so much. Oh my God. Poor baby.
Now, according to the spokesman, it says, quote, this is a Spokane magazine or like newspaper. It says, quote, Gary and Donna Young's daughter was born September 4th in a hot tub at their health club in the Spokane Valley. They used a Russian method designed to make birth less traumatic by letting infants swim from the womb's amniotic fluid into a warm saline solution before surfacing into the world. While underwater, oxygen is supplied through the umbilical cord. But the cord's oxygen flow evidently stopped before the Young's newborn surfaced. The infant died of oxygen deprivation. Spokane County coroner Louis Shanks said the young baby was born normal and healthy and would have breezed through a hospital delivery, according to Shanks and others. When contacted by phone last week, Gary Young's only comment was, quote, there are more damn hazards in the hospital than out of the hospital, and there are enough damn statistics to prove it. Now, poor Rachel's death was attributed to cardiac arrest.
Oof.
Now, yes, it was oxygen deprivation, but you can't really list it as asphyxiation because the child has never used their lungs before. So what happens when the baby is in the womb, you have a little hole in your heart. Everybody has it. And it helps blood because your blood flows from your heart to your lungs, gets oxygenated, comes back to your heart, and then the other side of your heart pumps it out to all your extremities.
Yes.
Okay? Since you're not using your lungs in the womb, you have that little hole. And it's through your, what are the top ones? You have your ventricles and your... Atriums. It flows the air or the blood through those. So it bypasses your lungs. You still have some that goes to your lungs, and that blood is literally just keeping your lungs alive, helping them grow, but it's not oxygenating your blood.
Gotcha.
The oxygen in your blood is coming from your umbilical cord. After you give birth, your placenta is still attached to your uterus, meaning your baby, as long as the umbilical cord is still attached, is still going to get oxygen.
Okay.
But the moment that baby is out of the vagina, your placenta will start contracting, or like you will still continue to have contractions, and your placenta will start to detach. Yeah, it first has to detach from the wall of your uterus or whatever.
Yeah.
It has to detach from that. And then it will be expelled. It does not take an hour. My placenta was detached within 15 minutes.
That's what I thought.
Of each of my
I've heard that
pregnancies.
It's between 15 to 30 minutes for it to be expelled.
Not an hour.
Huh.
So, and I gave birth to my first child in water.
Yeah. We all know that like water births they can be just fine, you know.
Yes. But my baby came out under the water and they pushed her up to me and I picked her up and I put her on my chest.
Yeah.
I did not let her swim around in the water because one, it is fucking contaminated.
Yeah.
Water is all contaminated. That is not something that you want to be the first thing in your child's mouth.
Yeah.
Because,
like, don't you have to suck all that stuff out of their airway, too?
You don't. Some of the hospitals will do it.
That's just what I see happen.
Yeah, some of the hospitals will do it. They're moving more towards, depending on your region or area, and based off what you want as the mother, they will kind of be a little bit more hands-off unless it's an emergency or they're seeing signs.
Gotcha.
My kids didn't have that done. They didn't need it or anything like that. There were also things that I didn't do that I should have done. I didn't get the goop in their eyes, which I wish I would have done that because that helps just like prevent bacteria and things like that. I'm not exactly sure everything it does, but I would definitely do more than what I did. But sometimes they don't have to do that unless you want it.
Oh, okay. I thought it was mandatory
or if they're needing
to clear like the airway fully or something. I don't know.
Not unless they need it.
Okay.
Not unless Now, so Gary killed his child.
That's horrific.
Yeah.
I don't need to know more, but I know you've got more in store for me.
I have so much more. That's the gloomiest of the gloom that we're going to touch on. Okay.
Okay.
But it's one of Gary's biggest, just what the fuck moments of his life that people just don't seem to care about. And it's in newspapers. And
Does he not talk about
well
it?
documented. No. Oh, no.
Because somehow I thought like this was going to get turned into, oh, God didn't want me to have this baby right now, or like God needed her more than me or something. I don't know. Which I'm glad it hasn't turned into that.
He just doesn't. It's like it didn't happen.
That's a huge disservice to that baby.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, God.
Yeah. Now, unfortunately, Gary was never charged with her death, but the authorities at this point decided that he was someone that needed to keep an eye on, that they needed to keep an eye. And boy, did they.
I agree.
They're like, what? And we have to remember this is the 80s,
Sure.
right? So like, there's not as many laws in place for, home births and protection for infants and things like that. And so they keep their eye on him. And in 1983, the Spokane police in Washington did an undercover investigation involving Gary. What they did was send in a pregnant woman to his little health herb shop, and the lady asked for medical advice. Then Gary offered them prenatal services, including delivering her baby, as well as offering them cancer treatments.
Are you kidding me? He doesn't have a license.
No. That is not going to stop him.
Apparently
Ever.
not.
So Gary was promptly arrested.
Great.
And charged with practicing medicine without a license.
Perfect.
He received 1 year probation and a 60-day suspended jail sentence after pleading guilty.
Light. Very light.
So if you don't know what a suspended jail sentence is, it just means that you don't go to jail immediately. As long as you don't commit the crime again, you won't have to go to jail. But if you commit the crime again, straight to jail. Do not pass go. Do not collect $200.
I don't know what that means, but okay.
Monopoly.
Oh, okay. I don't play
Have you ever-
games. I grew up in a cult. God. The other day, someone asked me, they're like, Sabrina the Teenage Witch, did you remember this and the cat? And I'm like, I grew up in a fucking cult. What do you think? Do you think I know things?
What do you think? No. See, because I didn't join religion until later, I got all of that experience, which is nice to look back on. I did love me Sabrina the Teenage Witch.
Well, I'm glad. You know what? I just have to say something before we move on. I think that Gary is the reason that God created the middle finger. That's what I
couldn't agree
yeah. I just didn't want to lose being able to say that right now. Okay, proceed.
Oh, yeah, you'll have plenty of opportunities. Just keep saying that. Now, the court also ordered him to not practice medicine in the state of Washington and to not break any other licensing requirements in any other state in the U.S.
Mm.
Do we think Gary listened?
No.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He did not.
I may love to shop, but I will never buy his bowl.
No.
Okay.
Donna and Gary ended up getting a divorce the same year that they
Really?
lost their baby in 1983.
Wow.
And she took the kids back to Canada with her. So I don't think Rachel dying was, I think that probably was Donna's wake-up call. And she was like, I got to get
Well,
out of this
I'm
marriage.
glad. I'm not glad, but I am
Same.
glad in a way.
Yes.
I am very sorry that she lost her baby. I'm very sorry
Yeah.
that happened. I'm sure that was
Yeah.
a traumatic birthing experience for her. Yeah.
And she took the kids, like I said, back to Canada. Gary decided to stay in the U.S. and he kept exploring the world of alternative medicine. Unfortunately, though, back in Canada, the family struggled financially. They ended up living in low-income housing, and Donna worked multiple jobs just to try to make ends meet. Matthew, the youngest of the kids, said years would go by without them seeing their dad. He noted that they did have like precious memories with Gary, like working on the farm and spending personal time with him. But those moments were very rare.
Short-lived.
And he just wasn't there for the big moments like dates or proms or learning how to drive or anything
Wow.
like that. Any kind of school accomplishments, he just wasn't there. So now, since Gary was on probation in Spokane, he decided to move to San Diego.
Huh?
And he opened San Diego. Did I say
You
that
said
weird?
San
Yeah.
Diego. Sorry,
San
Aaron.
Diego.
Say again.
Since Gary was on probation in Spokane, he decided to move to San Diego and opened a health company where he started selling vitamins, extracts, mouthwashes, and a bunch of other stuff. But he didn't stop there.
Oh, no.
He decided that he was going to open up a clinic called the Rosarita Beach Clinic. But he was tricky. He opened this clinic up across the border in Mexico
No.
to evade the U.S. laws. Yeah.
Oh, my God.
So this clinic, they claimed to specialize in degenerative diseases. And Gary listed himself as the medical doctor.
What does he
in
know
their
about
pamphlets.
degenerative diseases?
Not doctor. He labeled himself as the medical director.
Oh,
At the
okay.
clinic.
He said, I can't do anything with births, so let me do something right before they die. He said,
Yeah.
pediatrics? No. Geriatrics? Got it. What?
Got it. He offered an array of treatments and said he could treat a laundry list of illnesses. So these were the treatments, okay? Bioelectric cell activator therapy, blood crystallization tests, live cell analysis, detoxification programs, administering IVs and intramuscular injections of vitamins, minerals, and thymus extracts. Okay. Now, he said he could treat cancer, multiple muscular sclerosis, arthritis, cardiovascular disease, lupus, and so much more.
I'm sorry. Did he take lessons in stupidity, or was he born that way?
Nah, I think he took lessons. I think it's a double whammy. I think he was born like that, and I think he took lessons.
Great. Love that.
Also, why are we intramuscular injections of vitamins? That you need your vitamins in your blood.
Why do you need
not in your
to crystallize
muscle.
blood?
Why are we blood crystallization tests? The fuck is that?
Again, why? Do
Why?
I need to
What?
crystallize anything?
Now, at the clinic, a 21-day cancer program in 1987 cost around $6,500 plus an additional $280 for room and board. Today, that would be the equivalent of $18,576.80. Tragically, though, he's right by California, and there's a lot of rich people in California,
Of course.
especially San
And
Diego.
they like
so
the
people,
woo-woo hippie stuff.
they like the woo-woo
There's nothing
stuff,
wrong with woo-woo
so-
hippie. I love a woo-woo hippie. I love that. but not
I don't trust the health and
with
wellness
medical
industry.
malpractice anyway.
All of my trauma, all of my anxiety, I have medical, like health anxiety. If like I start to get dizzy, I think I have cancer and I'm dying and I get a panic attack.
Yes.
Okay. All of my anxiety stems from Young Living,
Yeah. Yeah.
from all of the stuff I was told and all the stuff I was taught to fear. This is their fucking fault. It is. Now, the majority of patients at this clinic were women between the ages of 25 to 45 years old. And according to Gary, they had been, quote, browbeaten by dominating husbands and had a lot of confusing energy. So we work both with the husband and the wife if there's problems like this and help them to understand that this isn't the way God meant for us to live.
Okay, so
Excuse
now we're
me.
bringing religion in. I see what's happening now. Now,
Yes, bringing religion, and apparently he's a fucking therapist. So we've got a medical doctor, a therapist, a pastor. He's wrapping
he is
himself
the
in every single one of these.
intramuscular mineral to their marriage. That's what
He's
he
the-
thinks.
He's the one-man band of everything, health and wellness, spiritual.
You know that phrase that's like jack of all trades, master of none?
Yes.
Yeah.
This is scary.
Get him a bumper
Yep.
sticker. Yeah.
Now, fraudulently, Dr. Gary Young is apparently, right, like we said, a therapist in this moment. He's ready to give them some talk therapy for their family and their spouse. But funnily enough, this is my favorite part of this entire story. The LA Times got wind of Gary's scam, and they thought, we're going to dig a little deeper in this shit. So they end up ordering a finger prick blood test that Gary's clinic offers.
Okay.
They have it mailed to them. When they get it, they decide to use the blood of a tabby cat named Boomer, who belonged to one of the other reporters.
Okay.
So they take this blood test, they swipe this cat's fucking blood on it. And after they complete the test kit, a reporter went to the Rosarita clinic where a woman named Sharon Reynolds read the blood slides. Now, Cheryl also offered the patients a horoscope reading for only $50 extra.
What in the astrological, mythological shit is this?
Yep. Now, listen to this.
Okay.
After Sharon looked at the slides, she regretfully informed the reporter that he had aggressive cancer
Oh.
and that had been in his body for 4 to 5 years, along with having liver problems. So the reporter is like, can we do another test? Because like
Wow.
I haven't noticed anything. And she's like, oh yeah, that's weird. Let's do another test. So this time the reporter uses his own blood.
Gotcha.
Okay. So she analyzes those slides and she comes up with the same results, except instead of having aggressive cancer, he had latent cancer. According to the National Institute of Cancer, latent just means that it's a condition that's present but not active or causing symptoms. Okay.
Weird thing
While
to
an
get mixed up, but
aggressive-
okay.
I know, right? While an aggressive cancer is currently active and multiplying in the body. Now, if we could, we can't, but if we could tell you had cancer from your blood, a blood that is like a blood swipe, okay? That's not how they do these tests, okay? But if we could, you think you would be able to tell whether it is latent or aggressive because there would be a multiplication of these cancer cells
Sure.
that you'd
yeah.
be able to see. But you can't see this, right? Because this blood is just a goop and it's clotting. It's not,
Yeah.
this is not how they do science and testing.
This is not
okay?
science.
This is woo-woo to the woo-woo.
All right.
Okay? So, on the patient's diagnosis sheet, it read, quote, elevated level of toxicity must be reduced in order to promote assimilation, increase oxygenation, and prevent degeneration. We recommend a supervised program of cleansing, detox, and rebuilding.
That's a cat, guys. That's a
First, it was a cat, and then it was his blood. It gets better. When I tell you that LA Times is like, we're going full send with this, they went full send. Now, that's okay, though, if you get this diagnosis, because Gary is there to save the day. More like save your life. And with none other than his detoxification program. It was either $2,000 a week in advance, and you would stay at the clinic, or it was $90 a week plus $400 in vitamins that you'd have to take home, okay, to do your like home treatment. So that would be, mind you, $3,054.90 in today's money, just the at-home option, $90 plus the $400. In today's money, that's over $3,000. The LA Reporter chose the at-home route, and after the allotted treatment time had passed, he sent in another sample of blood to be analyzed. But this time, they sent in chicken blood.
Okay.
The analysis report read, quote, "There is inflammation in the liver." The clinic's report said, "Your blood is indicating the possibility of a pre-lymphomic condition. It appears as though you've recently undergone a high level of upset in your life, which has weakened your immune response considerably."
Is that
Okay.
so?
Now, I want you guys to realize that if you are saying that you have inflammation in your liver, that is not where our immune system is working.
That
Okay.
it's a filtration
So-
system.
It's just a filtration system.
And
It's
I'm
not
not
immune.
I'm not in school for it. Laci
No.
is. I am not, and I know that.
You guys are so dumb. But guess what? The exact same treatment was recommended.
Oh.
They didn't even bother changing anything on the diagnosis sheet. They literally said the same thing.
Oh.
The LA Times then took the same samples that they had the Rosarita Clinic examine to Dr. Farmez Naam, I think is how you say her name, head of hematopathology. That's a big word.
Wow.
It's just basically like the study of blood
Blood.
and stuff like that. Yeah. At the UCLA Medical Center. After just a few seconds of looking at the slides, she immediately identified one of them as chicken blood.
Alrighty.
Immediately.
That's
Because, yeah, it was quite easy to see because chicken blood cells are oval shaped instead of circular, like human's blood. So she also informed them that scientifically, they wouldn't be able to tell anything from the samples as the blood was clumped and not a proper blood swipe. You want like the thinnest little smear.
yeah.
Because if it's just a clump, your microscope is not going to be able to see through it and to see
Right.
the individual cells. It's just a blob.
Very thin.
Yeah.
Okay.
So the LA Times reached back out to the clinic about their findings. And Sharon Reynolds said, quote, "I have never seen chicken blood before, but if that would have been human blood, that would have been an accurate analysis."
Oh.
She also stood by her analysis of the cat's blood and said that the cat was definitely sick and probably had leukemia.
Where are your credentials? Are you a vet? Sit down.
They took Boomer, the cat, to the vet and gave him a complete 180 workup. You want to guess what they found?
Boomer's fine.
Boomer is a healthy cat.
Boomer is
Full
living
of
a
hell.
good life.
So when I tell you that LA Times crossed their T's and dotted their I's, oh, they did. So then they made a report. You know, they put out in the papers. So good. Now, in 1988, California filed a complaint against Gary alleging, quote, "unfair, deceptive, untrue, and misleading advertising and unlawful, unfair, and fraudulent business practices." Apparently, he sold unapproved medical devices and other drugs while saying he could cure different diseases. Now, one medical professional said Young's techniques, quote, "are by far closer to mysticism than medicine, in opinion." Another family practitioner said, quote, "there is no evidence of scientific validity to D. Gary Young's treatments." He also said, quote, "we are led to believe that Young is a medical doctor. In the videotape, he carries a stethoscope around his neck, is said to administer intravenous, intramuscular, and radiation treatments, implant catheters, and either grows or surgically rebuilds noses."
Gross.
We are led to believe.
okay.
Yeah. Yeah. We are led to believe he is a medical doctor, yet his comments lack a lot of medical or scientific or logical content. In summary, the material reviewed as worthless, deceptive, illogical, and dangerous.
He's a nose farmer, of course.
He's
Fucking idiot.
That same year, Gary was found to be in violation of his parole, so he was rearrested and spent about a month in jail. The 1988 complaint in California was settled in 1989. Unfortunately, I couldn't find what the settlement ended up being. But in 1998 also, it just was not a good year for Gary, because that was also the year he was sued by a former Rosa Rita Clinic employee who said he gave Gary $100,000 that was supposed to be used for clinic development. But instead, Gary allegedly kept it for himself. They also listed it in their complaint that Gary would keep insurance payouts that were supposed to be refunded back to the client, and he was supposed to be like the one to give it to him. But he didn't. So basically what he's doing is they're paying up front, he's claiming it on insurance, and instead of refunding the money back.
Okay.
So he's being double paid for his services,
nothing.
as I air quote services. Yeah, absolutely.
For watering nose seeds.
I could get a better checkup with my 5-year-old giving me a checkup with her doctor toys.
Yeah.
I'm not kidding.
Yeah.
It'd be more thorough.
Steffen's in the house.
He lost this lawsuit and was ordered to pay the former employee $100,000. So basically reimburse him. Now, from what I can tell, Gary started Young Living in 1989 by himself, and he promoted just a few products in the beginning. Just like all other times, though, Gary was still promoting himself as he was a doctor, and even listed himself as one on the pamphlets about Young Living's products.
What's your NPI? That's what I want. You know what? If anybody tells you, "Oh, I'm a doctor," ask for the NPI, a medical doctor. Ask them for their NPI.
Is that their identification number?
That will tell you if they have an inactive or an active license. Yeah.
There was a guy on TikTok, I cannot think of his name because it's been a while, during COVID that I became friends with. A lot of us became friends with. He was an epidemiologist. He was giving really good advice about COVID. And then he started, there were just red flags that happened throughout the couple of years. Come to find out, a couple of the other actual nurses and doctors in the community found out that he was lying and he was not an epidemiologist.
Oh, shit.
And he tried to make a video claiming that his licensing number was this other lady who was also a Black lady, that he blacked her first name out. So him and her had the same last name. But he left his actual number in there, or not his, but her identification number. So it wasn't hard for people to find out that he was lying and claiming not only another person, but a Black lady as his number. And so it was a whole hot mess. And he ended up going to jail. He got caught and went to jail.
Eat it, loser.
Crazy. I'm like, really? I was like, you need to go to therapy. This is crazy. Now, Gary did have a second wife during this time, Dixie. This was after Donna. I couldn't find anything else out about her besides her name was Dixie. But they married and then sometime got divorced, okay? But then in 1993, at an expo, he met the future Mary Young, okay, who was already involved with another MLM called Sunrider International. According to Sunrider International's website, quote, "Our scientists elevate herbal science to an art form by hand-selecting raw herbs, then expertly extracting and concentrating only their most beneficial nutrients, so your body can receive exponential health benefits without having to eat an abundance of certain foods."
So they're taking the water out of fruit and giving you the fruit things.
And that they're taking the oil out of the essential oils and selling it. So they took the basics of what Sunrider International was doing and just did the same thing with essential oils. Yeah. Because Gary wasn't selling essential oils at the beginning. It was different products. It was Mary who helped him kind of really get it turned into essential oils. I think they both kind of wanted the essential oils, but then with her experience in MLMs, she came in and...
Sure, yeah.
Yeah. Now, Gary and Mary only dated for a short time before they were married. With Gary's passion for natural medicine and desire for, the ability to make a quick buck,
Sure.
along with Mary's experience with the MLM. Together, they just relaunched Young Living, and it is what we know today.
Gotcha.
Now, allegedly, it was Mary who was the one with the startup funds and was the majority owner of Young Living. It's also rumored she poached some of her colleagues from Sunrider to join them on their MLM startup. Now, if that's true, keep that in mind, because we will come back to that with another story later. So if this is true and Mary poached some of her people from her other MLM to start Young Living.
Shame, shame. I know your name.
Shame, shame. Mm-hmm. Now, Gary's opinion was that diseases were used as a tool by doctors and nurses in order to manipulate their patients into being dependent on them for their care. He also said that people who lack a will to live subconsciously choose to get sick. Not the pot calling the kettle black, because we could say the same thing about him. Gary saw the natural health and wellness industry as his tool to manipulate people into being dependent on his company's products and instilling in them a fear of modern medicine. So, again, pot calling the kettle black.
Mm-hmm.
So this next crime is alleged because I couldn't find solid reports on it. The most detail I found was on a Reddit post. The other place I found it mentioned was a letter written by Dr. Eva F. Briggs, but she also only briefly mentions it. So take this next part with a grain of salt. It's alleged. Sometime between September 1993 and January 1994, Gary was fired from Young Living. From what I can piece together, he was allegedly fired for a misuse of company funds and erratic behavior. 2 days after he was fired, he tried to gain entry to the Young Living headquarters office. When he found it locked, he tried to break it with an axe. After he made it in, he pushed his wife to the ground, down the stairs, and threatened his own son and a Young Living employee with the same axe. Allegedly, he had to be escorted out by police, and all of the victims got restraining orders against him. Now, if this is true, Gary's firing and the restraining orders didn't last long because he was back as the founder of Young Living. And he died the founder of Young Living. So
he's good at sweeping things under the rug, though.
Yeah, he really is. So, but again, all of that was alleged. I couldn't find any actual police reports on it. Now, before we move forward, let me paint you a picture of Gary Young, okay? He was 5'8", had leathery tan skin from years of working outside on the farm, as well as growing up as a rancher's kid. He was an avid outdoorsman and adrenaline junkie. Gary had a boisterous and domineering personality with a drastically oversized ego. Gary also had the ability to capture an audience, and boy, could he talk for hours, especially when it came to essential oils.
Mm-hmm.
Now, in 2000, Gary opened the Young Living Research Clinic, operated by Sherman Johnson, MD. Okay, so now you're probably thinking, wow,
medical doctor.
He actually hired a licensed medical doctor. That's a step forward, right? But you're wrong, because Dr. Sherman Johnson had recently just had his medical license reinstated. Apparently, about a decade earlier, Dr. Sherman had been investigated by the state medical board after a woman had died while he was treating her for cancer. After the woman's death, a nurse raised questions about her passing, and her body was exhumed so it could be examined. It was found that she had died from an overdose of Demerol that had been administered to her by Dr. Sherman. It was also found that she never had cancer, but instead she had multiple personality disorder and had convinced Dr. Sherman that she had been injected with cancer by a group of witches and gay doctors.
Okay, so that's just typically not the route.
I'm just like, wait, what?
In which, okay.
Like I said, you're like, whoop flash. You're like, wait, what the hell? That came out of nowhere.
I was okay, and then I wasn't. So quickly. Whiplash.
She had convinced him that she had been injected with cancer by a group of witches and gay doctors.
I didn't know cancer was injectable.
I didn't either.
Didn't think I would want that to happen. Or that anyone would. Okay.
Yeah, same. Yeah. Now, Johnson pled guilty to manslaughter. I'm not sure how long he spent in prison for the crime, but in 2000, he was set free. He got his medical license back and was head of the Young Living Research Clinic. Why they gave him his medical license back, I don't know. I can't tell you. It's really fucking weird, but okay. I looked up Dr. Sherman Johnson on LinkedIn. And he is working right now at the Hyperbaric Healing Systems. And he has been since 2003 after leaving the Young Living Research Clinic. Now, according to his LinkedIn profile, quote, hyperbaric oxygen treatment, HBOT, is the most important therapy for brain injury. Individuals suffering from traumatic brain injury, TBI, and PTSD. Families of TBI victims, parents of children with cerebral palsy and autism, school sports officials, veterans, public health professionals, and my medical colleagues should inform themselves of this, the only treatment which can restore brain tissue. I am as passionate about HBOT as I am about water skiing.
Oh, I don't know how passionate you are about that. So that is not a metric in which I'm going to hold a lot of weight in.
No. It goes on further in his profile about his job and says, quote, patients obtain direction for health preservation, anti-aging, detoxification. Hyperbaric oxygen treatments are provided for brain injury and many troublesome chronic disorders such as Lyme disease, fibromyalgia, stroke, and autism. Yeah.
Everyone's got to go
He's
there.
still a quack, in my opinion. Well, Gary and Mary are doing the Young Living thing. And do we think that they're following the law? Because Gary, he's not been much of a law follower. So do we think he's going to do this within Young Living? Absolutely not.
Slim to none.
Yep. On August 17th, 2000, one of Gary's homemade essential oil distilleries exploded, killing one of his workers. Yeah. A few days later, he was fined $10,280 for 7 safety violations. The Utah OSHA division, because the headquarters of Young Living is in Utah, reported that, quote, the entire operation was designed by Gary Young, president, and built on site. The vessels were not built under any consideration of the American Society of Mechanical Engineers Code for Pressure Vessels. No type of pressure relief device was installed on any of his vessels.
That's a big deal.
So he's distilling under very high pressure and does not have a pressure relief valve.
Oh, God. Dear God, and heaven above and hell. Okay.
That's just basic. Basic.
Think of a pressure cooker.
I was just about to say, my pressure
canning.
cooker has a valve.
You could do it in your own home.
My Instapot has a pressure valve.
Yeah.
Pressure relief valve. It all has. Oh, come on, dude. Now, in 2005, a woman sued Gary and the research clinic because she had been injected with so much vitamin C, she started to have kidney failure. Gary ended up settling the lawsuit with her and closing down the research clinic. But don't worry, he didn't let that stop him. He just went to Ecuador and opened up a clinic there.
That's okay.
Ecuador.
You can't just leave and think that it makes everything right again.
Do we think he's going to have any kind of oversight in Ecuador? No. That's why he's building a clinic there. And if that terrifies you, it should. Okay? Because we're going to talk about some shit he did in that clinic in a little bit. Because, good God, this man.
He doesn't know where to stop. He doesn't know how to pump the brakes.
He does not. Now, what's their belief in essential oils, okay? So Gary has stated that essential oils help bring oxygen into the cells by helping it pass the cell wall. Okay?
Okay.
Now, if you know anything about biology, you would know that that's fucking impossible because mammals don't have cell walls.
Yeah.
We have cell membranes. Only like bacteria and archaea or fungi, fungi has a cell wall. Some of them do. Those are the only, like all those microorganisms. Those have cell walls. We don't have cell walls. We have cell membrane. So,
because things have to pass through it.
So first off, it's not even fucking there.
Yeah.
So, Gary has also made other claims, but that has been like the biggest one and widespread throughout their distributors. It's like, it helps the oxygen pass the cell wall. Now, I remember when I was in Young Living, I was told this, and I believed it so much so that when one of the kids, like my kids, had an abnormality in their blood test when they were a baby, like baby, it was showing like low oxygen in their blood. And so they had to be tested again at 6 months of age. but it made me so scared. I like tried to figure out which oil was like the most oxygenating oil. And I found out it was allegedly, air quote, cedar oil. And so I went out and like bought somebody's Young Living cedar oil to try to oxygenate my baby's blood. Yeah, I know, I was dumb. It was stupid. I was in a cult. I didn't join a cult once. I joined one twice. Maybe you shouldn't listen to me.
No, it's okay. We've learned. Because, like, now at least you're saying that it was dumb.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep. Also, one of the things that Young Living pushed when I was a distributor was a book called The Essential Oil Desk Reference. Now, they also have the Pocket Reference, which is a little bit smaller, and then they have the Desk Reference. Now, this thing, it was treated as the Bible of essential oils.
I knew you were going to say something about the Bible. Yeah.
I wrote that in my notes. And then a little bit later, I went on to Amazon, typed in the Desk Reference because I wanted to see it. The very first review of the Desk Reference was a lady calling it the Bible of essential oils.
Oh, shit. Yeah.
Now, you can look up all essential oils in this Desk Reference, and it's going to tell you what it was known to treat. Or you could look up specific ailments. So you could look up like eczema, cancer, whatever, and then it would tell you which oils you should use and what are the best. I'm not
like a pharmaceutical guide to ailments.
Yes, with essential oils.
With just oils.
It wasn't until I stepped away from Young Living and I started learning about it that I realized that this fucking book was authored by Gary himself. Yeah, we were made to believe that since it was published by Life Science Publishing, it had a lot of credibility. Newsflash, it didn't. It was sold by Gary. It was written by Gary.
You know, does it say anywhere on there that, like, please consult a licensed physician before using?
No, they use the FDA claiming that, like, none of these statements have been evaluated by the Food and Drug Administration.
Okay.
Yeah. Now, another one of their big beliefs with essential oils is in their essential oil blend called Thieves. Now, it's a blend of cinnamon and a... Do you know the story behind Thieves?
I do.
On where they got their name? You do? Okay, so if you don't know the story behind Thieves, how they got their name was allegedly back in the plague days when all the bodies were dead and plagued with the plague. Robbers would come and they would try to steal the belongings of the dead bodies.
Loot.
And yeah, they try to loot them. But they would take a blend of essential oils and rub it on their bodies.
Gross.
And they realized if they did this, it would keep them from getting the plague. And then apparently they scientifically studied this specific blend and it found to be antiviral, antibacterial, blah, blah, all the things. So then they created the Thieves Essential Oil named after this legend. Okay. Now, not only do they have Thieves Essential Oil, but they also have a Thieves line of every product known to mankind. They have a Thieves Cleaner, Thieves Mouthwash, Thieves Toothpaste, Thieves Floss, Thieves Cough Drops, laundry soap. I mean, you can think of it. They've made it in the Thieves line. So that's their big claims to fame. They would make claims like crazy saying oils kill cancer and all of that stuff. They did all of it, but we're not going to get into all of it because it's just too much. Okay. Now, who is Gary's target audience? Well, a former employer told Business Insider that Young Living's target audience was people who were sick but yet had no other options.
Oh, so you have no money.
Predatory.
You have no answers because you probably have a chronic illness. And
Yes.
doctors have a hard time diagnosing you. Like, me with POTS, lots of other patients with POTS. You're out of options. So you're like, let me branch out to something alternative because maybe that's where the answer lies.
Yep.
Great.
And
it
people
does
fall for
lie. It lies.
Yep. These people were vulnerable and Gary was predatory. So it was the perfect match, unfortunately. Gary, and honestly all of Young Living, constantly demonized modern medicine. I was constantly told that they want you sick because it's how they make their money, and the reason we aren't allowed to say oils can cure illnesses is because the FDA is owned by Big Pharma.
Oh my God.
I know.
Doctors do not want you to be sick. That is such a...
I know.
They can make their money off of
wait.
research too, guys. It's not just like clinic visits and
Yes.
medication. Like there are other legitimate things that doctors make money off of, and it's not you being sick.
I went to the doctor the dermatologist, okay, to be specific. I wanted to do this appointment so that I could get put back on my spironolactone, which is my acne medication. Because when I went without insurance, I had to go off it, blah, 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 all that.
Yeah.
So I just went in and she was like, okay, this medicine's working for you. Great. It's a low dose. This is really good without any like major side effects. Your body can handle it. Yeah, absolutely. Let's get you back on that. Since you're here today, would you like a skin check? And I was like, I've never had a skin check. She goes, they're good to have about once a year. I just examine your body, any kind of moles, growths, anything like that. I was like, sure. She's like, it's covered by your insurance. So if you'd like one, we can give you one. And I was like, I'd love one. Did a skin check. Everything came out great. And she said, okay, now that I know that, everything's looking good, I have no concerns, knowing you do good on this medication, I'm going to give you basically endless refills. I just want to see you back in 1 year.
That's how my...
Do you know how much she's making off me in a matter of 2 years?
Yeah.
Minuscule amount of money.
Same. That's how it works with my POTS doctor. As long as my routine is going and I'm good with my medications, they're like, an annual is just fine with us. If you have issues, let us know. But otherwise, you do your thing and you live your life.
Exactly.
They're not making up tests. They're not making up, oh, you need this follow-up and this follow-up. You need to see this specialist.
Yeah. Now, the Business Insider also said it best. Young's demonization of the medical industry over the years had broad appeal among people anxious to keep their families healthy and safe, particularly in a political climate characterized by heightened distrust of the healthcare system and big pharma, an opioid epidemic that has ravaged communities, and an anti-vax movement growing stronger and more vehement than ever before. It's true. One former employee said that Gary loved to call himself an ND, naturopathic doctor.
No.
And he would even sign his name as Dr. Young, and then they would always have to remove it as the company wouldn't allow it because guess what? It's illegal.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So what did he do? Started signing D. Gary Young. So people would mistake him as a doctor.
Oh.
Because his name's Donald.
Oh.
Gary Young.
Now it all comes full circle for me.
I told you.
D for dick bag. Moving on.
Now, another employee said that Young Living was run solely based on Gary's boisterous personality, and people followed him as if he was God himself. Gary's employees often had to go to great lengths to meet his demands. For instance, just weeks before the annual convention, he insisted on a lavish fireworks display in France that came with a hefty price tag. In another instance, he demanded that the Royal Caribbean cruise be stalled so he could extend his stay at a particular stop. When that didn't work out, he had to just be helicoptered to the next destination because the cruise ship was not going to wait for him.
Yeah.
You're not that important, Gary. Now, the employees desperately tried to create a stable business with Young Living, but Gary often got in the way of the business growing. That is until he eventually went to Ecuador to focus on their farm, school, and clinic there. During his time away, the employees noted that the company ran much more smoothly. According to a former employee, Young Living was nearly bankrupt in the early 2000s when Gary took over. They claimed that while they managed to pull the company out of financial trouble, the Youngs would often lead it right back into another hole by launching extravagant, out-of-pocket projects. The company constantly struggled to balance practicality with Gary's outlandish ideas. One former employee told Business Insider that Gary built replicas of a Wild West town and a medieval castle where he hosted tournaments. But get this, he would dress up in full armor and compete in jousting events and called himself Sir Gary.
Put him in a jester costume. Leave him there. He's a joke. This whole thing's a joke.
I tell you, he thought so highly of himself.
I'm sure
But
he
you know
did.
Oh, but get this, it doesn't stop there. Gary even had plans drawn up for a $250 million theme park he wanted to call Mount Youngmore. This park would...
I know you're being sincere. I know this is real information, but I feel like I'm getting punked. I feel like I'm getting punked
right? Now, this park would feature jousting, a 5-star hotel, and a mountain with Young's face etched on it.
This is not Mount Rushmore.
No, it's Mount Youngmore.
I gotta leave this day. I gotta go. Ain't that just the way?
Gary did deny this, but former employees confirmed that it was true. So there's kind of like a, "Oh, no, it's not." But I tend to believe
Employees are victims. I believe victims. Ha.
Yeah, right. Now, remember that clinic in Ecuador I talked about?
Yes.
Well, according to a former employee, David Sterling to be exact, who actually used to be the COO of Young Living, said that he saw a video of Gary injecting essential oils intravenously to the patients and even saw Gary performing a gallbladder surgery on someone.
Okay, you don't know what you're doing, first of all.
Gallbladder surgery.
I know it's not a necessary part of the body. However,
you are still cutting into me.
Wait, is the gallbladder needed? Did I make that up?
It is really good at giving you extra bile. So it will store when your body makes bile, your gallbladder will store that extra bile, and that bile is really good at digestion throughout.
Oh, okay. I'm thinking of appendix.
Your intestines.
Sorry. That's what I'm thinking.
No, your gallbladder is still really needed.
Okay.
Yeah, your appendix is still, it still has some good properties.
But you can live without a gallbladder.
You can live without both, but since if your gallbladder is not there to store and help make that bile, you can get some diarrhea depending on like what foods you eat, like fatty foods.
Okay.
Send you to the bathroom. Yeah. And it's pretty close. It's right there on your intestines. And if you
accidentally nick something, it's all over.
You die.
Septic?
Yeah.
Yeah, forget it.
That's the bad spot. So, that's all we know about that is that he, according to David Sterling, but I want to know more. Who was this person? Are they alive? Are they dead now? Ecuador people, can somebody please tell us what the fuck happened?
Yes, Ecuador side, weigh in.
Seriously,
wherever y'all are.
I need to know. Now, who is David Sterling? Let's talk about him. He's the old COO of Young Living. During David's time with Young Living, he tried to shift their focus away from Gary's shenanigans and onto the oils, but time and time he was met with resistance from none other than Gary himself. But it didn't just come from Gary, it also came from other distributors that David said felt a deep loyalty to Gary. So like many of these cult things, Gary had himself a cult following. David was eventually fired for, quote, performance reasons. But in an interview with Business Insider, David provided a copy of his termination email. And in it, Gary said, quote, Satan exercised dominion over you to the point where you started thinking that you had knowledge and ability greater than anyone else, including me, the creator of the company.
Okay.
So he's like, Satan got to you. Bye, bitch. You're fired.
That's such a cop-out. Come on.
That's also Delulu, sir.
Pick a better argument.
Yeah. Many former employees said that this was common. Gary wanted and did surround himself with yes man. So it didn't get in the way of, whatever he wanted to do. And everybody was just falling in line. And if you weren't falling in line, you'd just be fired. Since Gary was my way or the highway type guy, the company decided to stop trying to control what he said. And instead, they just edited out moments where he made questionable claims or put doctor in front of his name. They just started editing it out instead of fighting him on it.
That's how you know you're problematic, when your own people have to fix things for you.
Yes. Many times they knew he was lying, but just kept quiet. All of his employees or former ones. One former employee said that one time they did a shoot with a grizzly bear. It was a trained one, and safety precautions were taken, where Gary was 15 feet away from the bear, and there was an electric fence in between the two at any given time. Okay, so they just edited out the electric fence later on. Yeah. But when Gary told the story sometime later, he would tell people that the bear licked essential oils right out of his hand.
Okay.
Now,
absolutely not.
How big is your arm? Can it reach 15 feet? Because apparently that's how far away you guys were.
No. No.
Now, this same former employee said he's just full on lying. He was just kind of full of shit, to be honest. I liked him personally, but he was just a snake oil salesman.
Wow.
Now, I wasn't sure where to slip this in, but Gary was part of the Mormon faith since he was a kid. His whole family was Mormon. But allegedly, he separated himself from the organization as he got older because he felt he had his own religious and spiritual guidance.
Okay.
So his ego was so big, he couldn't even continue in the Mormon organization because he felt like he knew better and could be his own
he learned
religious spiritual guidance.
from the origins of the Mormon faith that you can just make up crap and people believe it.
Yeah. And when I say, I believe you have it in you to have your own spiritual guidance. Like, we all should be following our own spiritual and religious guidance. But maybe Gary would have been better off staying.
Maybe. If it keeps you in line, following laws, by all means, whatever religion you want.
Right. Now, you've probably also heard of the essential oil company called doTERRA.
Oh,
now, you might not know that they are rivals. Young Living and doTERRA are rivals. Now, the COO I told you about, David Sterling, he is the founder of doTERRA. Now, remember, David Sterling was fired from Young Living because Satan had consumed him.
Of course.
Okay? And so he decided to start his own essential oil company, doTERRA, in 2008. So this was years after he got fired. Okay. I think he got fired, was it 2003? I think it was.
The doTERRA overlord.
Yeah.
Took his soul.
Yeah, so Gary did end up suing doTERRA for stealing trade secrets in 2012. The lawsuit dragged on for years, but doTERRA was found not guilty. There were problems with the lawsuit from the very beginning. To start off with, trade secret laws have a 3-year statute of limitations, and doTERRA was founded in 2008. While the lawsuit wasn't filed till 2012. On top of that, the case dragged on because apparently Young Living had tampered with a computer to mislead the judge about when a business plan had been accessed. So basically what they're saying is they were trying to tamper with a computer to change the date to make it seem like they were within that, statute of limitations. But really they had tampered with it. So the year after doTERRA was found not guilty, the judge ruled that Young Living would be required to pay doTERRA's legal fees because she said they acted in, quote, bad faith.
Yeah. Suck it.
I remember I was still part of Young Living when they got found not guilty.
Really?
doTERRA got found not guilty, and everybody was like, it was just because of the statute of limitations. It doesn't mean that doTERRA didn't do anything wrong, because they did.
Oh, go kiss a jellyfish.
Now, Young Living has what they call the seed to seal promise. This claims to have the purest essential oils on the planet, and they guarantee this through their seed to seal promise. What is this, you ask? Well, it's their commitment to high quality essential oils through a rigorous process that ensures purity and sustainability. Their promise covers every step of production, from sourcing, growing the seeds for the plants, to sealing their final product in their essential oil bottles. Young Living controls the entire process by owning and operating their own farms, as well as partnering with trusted growers around the world. The company claims to uphold strict standards in terms of planting, harvesting, distillation, and testing, ensuring that each product is pure and free of contaminations. Now, they don't label their products organic because they say that their seed to seal promise is higher than organic.
Higher? Oh, wow.
So, are these pure?
No, they're not.
I don't think so, because on May 22nd, 2017, someone posted a blog titled, "The Day Young Living Broke My Heart."
Boom! Say more.
Now, in her post, she said that on February 25th, 2017, she came across a post by someone claiming they had a bottle of Young Living cinnamon bark essential oil. They had it tested, and it came back that it had been adulterated. She quickly contacted Young Living Quality Control Department and sent them over the post. They responded a few days later, basically telling her to ignore it and that it was just a smear campaign. Now, she felt like she was being brushed off, so she took matters into her own hands and decided to do her own testing. So she then ordered a bottle of cinnamon bark oil from Young Living and had it shipped directly to the third-party testing lab in Quebec, Canada. Here's what she wrote about receiving the results.
Okay.
Now, remember, these are like cult followers of Young Living.
Yeah.
So like this is, in a sense, like a deconstruction moment where their world just
That's hard.
collapses
That is
around
hard.
them. It is. I know it's like crazy we're talking about essential oils, but like
you put
people have
your-
really put their
your-
heart, mind, soul, money.
Your faith in your health.
Yeah,
into
yes,
it.
in
And
this.
that's a big
and your
deal.
family's health.
Anything to do with your health care, it's a really big deal.
Yeah. So, March 18th, I received an email from the lab, again containing the GCMS report from my sample I had tested. Nervously, I opened the attachment and scrolled to the bottom. Conclusion. The sample had been adulterated with synthetic cinnamaldehyde. It's just a fake cinnamon. Indicated by the presence of another really long name, isomers. Synthetic linol may also have been added. Tears filled my eyes as the reality of the situation began to sink in. My close family used cinnamon bark internally, not to mention the sheer volume of these products that contain cinnamon. I attempted some conversations with my uplines about the issue, but merely got, "Don't worry," and "I've used the products for years and I'm fine." I love that line. "Oh, I've done this for years and I'm fine."
We spanked our kids for years. They're fine.
Yes.
Yeah.
Right.
Uh-huh.
Now, a group of a few women continued to ask Young Living for answers, but day after day and statement after statement, they were being ignored. The group put up a petition on change.org demanding that Young Living answer their questions and look into the adulteration, but they were basically left on red and nothing was done. They all lost their memberships. The Young Living kicked them out
Wow.
for speaking up about this. Yeah.
This seems familiar.
Yeah. So now, is seed to seal above above organic, or do they just not put organic because there's laws in place to keep you from labeling something organic that's not? I'm going to go with the latter.
Probably. Yeah. I'm not an expert, but
Yeah. Now let's talk about the FDA. After the distributors of Young Living made certain claims, the FDA began to start intervening, and this prompted the company to implement extensive training for its distributors. This was to ensure they adjusted their language and stopped claiming that the oils could, quote, cure or treat any illnesses. Yeah. Now, it all really stemmed from their thieves' oil. They claimed that it could cure Ebola when they had
Wow.
that Ebola breakout out,
Yeah.
I think it was like 2014.
I was going to say that was a big deal in the 2010s. So
Yeah. So they were like, excuse me, no, you cannot say that. And so then they started really cracking down. And so this is why people started saying, like, in my experience, this is what happened. And you'd have to make the claim, like, these are not evaluated by the Food and Drug Administration.
Yeah.
And you couldn't use cure, treat, prevent, you couldn't do any of that.
Okay.
You'd have to say it aids in your immune system or supports, like that was a big word, supports
enhances.
X, Y, and Z.
Yeah.
Yeah. Now, in 2010, Young Living opened their first frankincense distillery in Salalah. This was the first frankincense distillery in the world, but according to Anjanita DiCarlo, an environmental scientist, she said, quote, "Just Young Living's demand for frankincense alone threatens entire ecosystems in the Middle East and North Africa."
Oh, shit.
The Earth Island Journal said, quote, "In order to produce a single pound of essential oil, enormous quantities of plants are required. 10,000 pounds of rose petals, 250 pounds of lavender, 6,000 pounds of melissa plant, 1,500 lemons, and so forth." So their ecosystem is at risk being damaged just because of the amount of frankincense they need
Wow.
to be grown in order to distill it. So, do you really care about the environment? I think not. Now, they did also have a class action lawsuit. In April 2019, a former member filed a class action lawsuit claiming that Young Living, quote, "operates an illegal pyramid scheme created under the guise of selling essential oils for quasi-medicinal purposes. In truth, Young Living is nothing more than a cult-like organization falsely peddling the ever-elusive promise of financial success and an alternative lifestyle," end quote. As of the most recent updates, the 2019 Young Living class action lawsuit filed by Lori McNaughton resulted in a partial victory for the plaintiffs, with the Second Circuit Court of Appeals receiving certain claims alleging deceptive advertising practices by Young Living regarding their essential oil products, especially under New York's general business law, meaning the case can proceed to trial on those claims. The lower court had initially dismissed the lawsuit largely, considering Young Living's claims as merely puffery.
Puffery?
So, still ongoing. Not really sure where it's going after that.
Okay.
So it's been a while. Now, Gary did die
Oh.
on May 12th, 2018, at the age of only 68.
I wonder
Gary
why.
died. He died in Salt Lake City, Utah. Mary claimed his death was due to complications from a series of strokes. But one of Gary's sons from his first marriage said he actually died of cancer. Unfortunately, Mary continually lied about his condition and said he was improving, but in all actuality, he was getting sicker and sicker. This meant that many of his family members didn't get the opportunity to say goodbye before Gary passed away because she kept lying about his condition.
That's shitty.
At his funeral, Mary said, quote, "There was only one Galileo. There was only one Einstein.
No.
There was only one Michelangelo. There was only one Mozart, and there was only one Gary Young."
You know, in a way, she's right.
She is right, but like to put him in a group
Yeah,
with
no, not
Galileo,
with those.
Einstein, Michelangelo, and Mozart? Excuse me.
Yeah.
Now, the funeral was also live streamed on YouTube and had over 100,000 people tuning in live.
That just seems
to watch
weird.
it.
That's just weird. Anyway.
Very weird. Sadly, though, 3 people weren't able to attend. Gary's 2 sons and daughter from his second marriage.
Wow.
Matthew Young said he wasn't sure why they weren't allowed to attend, but court documents say that Gary had petitioned for a protective order against his son Adam in March of 2018, just a few months before he died, but it was denied. We don't know details or why. Matthew saw his father's funeral as a big spectacle and wished it could have been a simple, typical funeral where they could actually grieve. But if we're being honest, it's exactly what Gary would have wanted.
Probably. Yeah.
So, an over-the-top funeral for an over-the-top man.
I tell you.
Now, Matthew said, quote, "I have a lot of frustration and anger towards my 2 brothers down there. They were all standing around our dad's bedside while he was taking his last breath, and they couldn't pick up the phone and tell us until after he'd passed away. And they were standing there for weeks. Mary is such a shady person that she would rob us of the opportunity of being with our dad in the last few moments.
Yeah.
I think she lied to the public because of the way they claimed Young Living can fix everything. She was worried it would ruin Young Living." And I 100% agree.
Did it?
They are going to cover their ass any way they can to keep their business afloat because I tell you, he spent a lot of money. He's got big houses and land and extravagant spending out the wazoo. Out the wazoo. Now, if you are somebody that likes essential oils, and maybe you didn't know all of this about Young Living and you did buy their oils. One, I'm so sorry.
Throw them away.
But please don't buy them anymore. I have a great, this is not sponsored, but I have a great essential oil company for you. It's called Revive. It's wonderful.
Oh, yeah.
Great prices, a fraction of what you're going to pay with Young Living. And you can get them online. And they also give you access to all of their third-party testing reports.
Oh, good.
Young Living, I don't even think doTERRA does that. They give you all of it to show you what is in all the different batches of oils. They also make dupes for all of doTERRA's blends, all of Young Living's blends.
So like the
and
thieves stuff?
Yeah, they have their
Nice.
own. And just recently, they came out with their own Thieves Cleaner.
Cool.
That's their own. I can't. I think it's like Immunity Boost is what they call it or
Cool.
something. And so you're gonna save so much money. So Revive's lavender essential oil, you can get it in 10 milliliter for $9, or 30 milliliter for $18, or 120 milliliter, which good God, that's a lot of freaking essential oil, for $48. At Young Living, you can get a 15 milliliter bottle for retail price $35.86. So
Wow.
that's just lavender. So 15 For just a little bit more, you could get 120.
Yeah.
You could get 105 more milliliters.
Wow.
They
That's
have 100% pure therapeutic grade, GCMS tested, and 20 purity tests, not tested on animals, grown in indigenously, no synthetic or fillers, money back guarantee. Wonderful. I've loved their smells, their scents, everything. They have really good reviews. We will link them in the show notes.
Don't
That's a
use
great
it to
alternative.
treat your ailments, first of all.
No, use them therapeutically. See your doctor. Use it for a good smelly good. Yes, lavender's great for topical things, for allergic reactions or whatever like that. They have some great properties
They
that
can
have
be
been
really
tested,
good for
okay?
mental health, like
Yes.
citrus
Yes.
stuff is really good for depressive episodes. But I tell you, we're not doctors, and neither are the company Revive. Use it at your discretion.
You can go and use them.
Don't
Consult
eat
your
them.
doctor, of course. Don't eat
Never.
them. Please don't put these fucking essential oils in your body. God damn it. Okay? Don't ingest them. Don't be a dipshit like I was.
Well,
God damn.
yeah.
Don't do it. Okay? But they're great. They can be used for so many different things, and they're wonderful. But don't replace your actual medicine with essential oils.
Please no. They
Please
don't cure
do
cancer.
that.
They don't stop
They
Alzheimer's.
don't.
It's just,
Promise you.
I wish it
please
would be
don't.
that way. I wish it would be that
I know.
simple and nice and smell good, but
Yeah. Fucking seriously. And they are really good, especially like mental health kind of things, like having, a diffuser. I love smelly good things. It's a great alternative to candles if you're not a candle or a wax warmer.
that's the
They
thing.
can be
That's what I
great.
use in the summer. I don't use candles in my house in the summer. I just use a diffuser because I don't
Yeah.
need any extra heat in my house.
You can get it from Revive. We will tag it below in the show notes. You can save so much money. I promise
Revive,
you.
you want to sponsor
And-
us? Because we would
I know, right?
very much
Shout
endorse you.
out. They're like, we talk shit about Young Living. They'll be like, fuck yeah.
Yeah.
So there's also another one. I cannot think of its name, but I've seen hilarious ads on like Facebook about this essential oil company because they are not an MLM and they're like super cheap, but they make ads that are like, they have like somebody pretending to be in an MLM and they're like running up to him and like, want to buy my essential oil?
Is it plant
Hey-
therapy?
Hey girl. But no, I think
Okay.
it's like something earth something. I can't remember, but it was really funny. But yeah, that's Young Living.
Wow.
And that's Scary Young. So comment. Especially, I saw some comments over on our Spotify, which is pretty cool, guys. So go over and comment. Tell us what you thought about the episode. If you've used essential oils, if you knew any of this about Young Living or Gary, or, what you make of it. I want to know. I want to hear.
I agree. On to your palate
All
cleanser?
right. That wasn't a heavy one.
No.
Minus
no.
that one little snafu about the baby, but that was it.
Do we really need a palate
So-
cleanser?
I don't think we really need a palate cleanser today.
This one was.
I went to
it was
therapy
cool.
and I love my therapist. So that was my palate cleanser for
Nice.
today.
Okay.
I'm
yeah.
pretty excited.
Yeah.
I feel like I got a good one. Yep.
That'll
Anyways.
be our palate cleanser. Go
Yeah.
get in therapy. I mean, but also if you have access to it, it's beneficial
Yeah.
in all walks of life, I feel.
Do it.
Personally.
Times are tough. We're all mentally having a big old minty bee together as a society. So just go to therapy.
And here's your reminder that you're important and you matter, and we're very glad that you're here.
Yes.
I guess that's
Taylor
it, guys.
Swift.
With
All right, we
that,
love you guys.
please stay safe, stay skeptical.
And steer clear of the cultish carousel.
Also, heathens, if you have enjoyed our show so far, please remember to subscribe wherever you're listening. Leave us a review, comment, whatever. We love to hear from you. Deadly Faith is brought to you by Choircast Network. It's produced by Laci Bean and Lola Robbins, and audio engineered by Eric Howell. Thanks for listening.